What's up, guy? We all know Coach Hodsic, right? And if you don't know, let me give you the quick intro about him. He created the Nocturnal for FPS, Sykes, and Koyful, who won the last LAN. So in this video, he talked about the new patch note and also talked about very deep analysis on Team Falcon. So let's start the video with Hodsic.
So one thing I'm really big on is if my team ever dies early, I will tell them, hey, as soon as the game is over, just get up, walk around, stretch, get the blood flowing, do something that gets you ready for the next game and feeling like you did going into the game rather than how you felt after the game ended. If that makes sense. I think like I said, all their problems are so far gone out of the game that this just obviously their macro got thrown off too with 0 dying. So there's no point in being a dead horse on this one. With that fight, at that point, it doesn't matter what they did that fight. We're 10 games deep, and they're in 20. That's just mentally chalked. There's just at some point, you can't really criticize it too much when it's not they're defeated, right? That's the ultimate problem. Is at this point they're super defeated, and there's no point really in going over all this shit because it's just not what they would I feel like normally do. They just don't even know what to do anymore. It's kind of like how I sometimes when my team does really bad, I just throw away half the VOC because I'm just it's not even the what's going on in the game is not even the problem anymore. I feel like I've been honestly in these shoes. Obviously my team hasn't ever finished 20th, which is definitely really fucking rough. But we didn't make 2 LAN finals in a row, and then we didn't even make one of the LANs of the past 3. So we don't have the greatest rap sheet either. All those failures taught us a lot, and so that's what I'm saying. I feel like a lot of this I see my team's own failures in this, but the difference is since we have failed like that, we've learned a lot. I think I don't think this is doomed from the start. I think there was a capability to save this. I don't think they fought hard enough. That might sound kind of harsh, and that's a surprising criticism I think for me to even say for a team like this, because I hold both Hal and Zero as some of the most mentally strong competitors in this game. By that I mean they show up no matter the fuck what, right? So I think they got defeated super early on. Even going into this, it seemed like I said, game 1 didn't seem very it seemed very uncharacteristic the way they were calling this game. Support when your team is this fucking down bad, it's got to come from either the players themselves. Think even though it was obviously widely seen as super toxic, but the old TSM environment where Hal was just howling all the time. It is toxic, and there are certainly sometimes you shouldn't I do think you shouldn't be talking to your teammates that way. On the flip side, it kind of works in a weird way. It doesn't work with everybody. It's only specific people, but when your team is doing really fucking bad, sometimes you need somebody to just fucking rip into you. Whether that's the players themselves or the support staff, like I said, they have a coach and analyst. Someone has to do it. It's uncomfortable. It's not fun, from what I've learned. Like I said, my team has been in these situations at this point too many times, and I never want to be in these situations again where it just feels like everything is working against you. In reality, it's not. It's the players' own minds working against them. They're not playing their hearts out. They're not playing like they want to be there. Everything just fucking sucks in their minds. You can get your players out of that. And like I said, it's something that I've been working on a lot to make sure my team was in there. Because again, we were there right here. Game 4, we were 20th place. Falcons had more points than us after game 4. I know I reiterated this point a lot, but it's a really important one, I think. SSG was also really fucking shit. I think SSG was actually 20th after game 3 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but the team that won LAN started out horribly. Our team started out horribly. But the difference is, I can't really speak for how SSG, I don't know how SSG did it, but it's very clear that they fought their way out. My team, I can tell you from personal experience, I was there after game 4. You better believe we were fighting our way out, because we were about to fight each other. Me and Nock in particular, we were going at it a little bit. But these are the things that need to happen. It's like I said, it's super uncomfortable, but these are the things that need to happen, whether it be from the players or from the support staff. Somebody needs to step up and say something and start yelling or doing whatever they can to get them out of their own mind, out of their own heads. Sometimes it involves saying some things that are kind of harsh, and it sparks up conversation where maybe an uncomfortable one, but it gets everyone talking. But it just feels like they were defeated and they didn't fight their way out. Most of their problem, I could sit here and VOD review all these little small mistakes, but it just feels like that, which again is not a criticism I thought I'd ever attribute to either Hal or Zero, because those players, I think, historically have always been, they show up fucking old as hell on game day no matter what. But that's generally kind of where, like I said, like there's a lot of like small little, there's macro mistakes in all these games, there's micro mistakes, but it's no use, like, and we've obviously gone over a lot of them, but at the end of the day, I think most, like past like this point, none of this shit really matters because it really wasn't them playing anyway. I hope they don't throw this tournament away and just say, yeah, that tournament was just shit, because I promise you from personal experience, there's a fucking lot to learn here, both from like, again, from like coach and analyst side and player side. This is recoverable, but it's uncomfortable and it's hard to do. And it's something it's something, like I said, I've learned, and it's something I'm still actively learning how to get better at. Which is why I'm kind of okay with our 9th place, because man, it was not easy getting out of this game 4 dump for my team. It was not, but we did it, and we ended up almost winning. So to me, that was like a huge dub. I was very happy for once with how like 9th is not great by any means, for us at least, but 9th, it told me that it felt like I was doing something right for once. I'd never want to be in this situation ever again. Like I said, we had after game 4, we had a very uncomfortable conversation, and it fixed a lot of our problems. I didn't see a lot of them fighting out of their way out of it. You know, maybe they did it in between games while they were dead and talking, but it didn't seem like it. It was just, it felt like doom and gloom. It felt uncomfortable to walk past their booth, to be honest, every single time. I felt bad for them, but I hope they take this as a massive learning experience on how to lose, but mostly unfortunately, they didn't really have any signs of coming back to form, because that's where like the real growth is. But I hope that they look back and think, like I said, I just hope they don't think to themselves like, oh, this is just shit land, just throw it out, it's whatever. Because like I said, there's a lot to learn from these lands. I've had to find out the hard way.
It was kind of like going on vacation after getting a 20th place, and you are like
based,
practically
honestly.
not distracted, is like
Kind of based. I can't lie.
there was a lot of time to think. Best way to put it. A lot of doubt, but
Don't doubt yourself, Hal.
I'm good.
Come on, man, get to the meat and potatoes, man.
Want to talk about the performance at LAN? Of course. Obviously, like my opinion would be way different than Zero's, but
Sounds like a conversation that should have happened.
I talked with Zero, but I don't know what it was, but like I like felt there wasn't really we didn't have that confidence that we usually do. Like
Am I damn good at my job or what? Rewind that review to game 1. Am I fucking just the best at what I do or what? I don't know. Sorry, it's not about me. I mean, he obviously already said that it's not like that big of a deal because they were TDM anyway. But I do for any aspiring players or any maybe even pro league players watching this, I do think it's a little silly how much teams attach to themselves to TDMs. Obviously, Hal said they're like it's probably not the problem, but there are. Look, my team doesn't TDM very often, but I do know that I listen to the way other people talk about teams that they TDM as well. Like I've heard a lot of teams be like, "Oh yeah, they're shit. We've been stomping on them in TDMs," and it's just like people attach themselves way too much to TDMs. They're supposed to be used as warm up and practice, and that's it. But people they attach their egos to it way too much. And I'm sure that's not like I'm sure that's not like the big problem for why they felt unconfident. If I had to guess, I think the meta just doesn't really necessarily suit them, and like it was hard for them to find their footing within it. The only reason I'm saying that is one, Falcons are a much more aggressive team, and this meta is not so much that. I think there's room for it to be aggressive, but you have to be confident within your own gameplay to get to that point. So I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot there. I think their comp that they played was fine, but they weren't aggressive with it because they just lacked that confidence. So they weren't aggressive in the right ways when they needed to be. It felt like they weren't ready for just kind of like anything to be thrown at them. Their macro calling was very shoddy if you watched my VOD review on them. And what I mean by that is they didn't play their comp right, first and foremost, but two, I know they were complaining about zone flips a lot at LAN. And that's weird to me, because if you're complaining about zone flips happening frequently, then it's weird to me that you don't start playing for the zone flips. Like that's something when that happens to my team, I always adjust our gameplay accordingly to make sure that if zone flips are going to be happening a lot, even in our small little like population size, sample size, whatever of games, then I make sure that we're playing for it, right? There are ways to play around it. You can play slow play for information. There are 100% ways to play for it. And I heard a couple tidbits of Zero wanting to play for that and make those calls, but he just didn't in a lot of the early games in their games. And I think when that obviously fails and you second guess yourself and you probably think to yourself, I should have done that anyways, it definitely adds up and doesn't help at all. the negative emotions definitely compound a lot in that regard. So I think they weren't ready for the meta, not necessarily from like a team comp standpoint, because I actually like their team comp. I think they could have done a lot of work with it. I just think they called it from a macro standpoint really, really poorly. Confidence issue again.
It's just like, oh, like we didn't, like ever since that first day, something was just off. Like there was no, like the confidence was not there.
Mostly it was just really evident to me because we shared a booth right next to them, and it was just doom and gloom throughout from game 1 to 10. And to that, like, and that feeling sucks. As I mentioned thoroughly in my VOD review, that's happened to my team a lot. Our last 3 LAN and or not making to LAN performances, it's happened a ton, and we've like learned and grown from it. It is possible to get out of those situations. It's really hard. Everybody needs to be on the same page. Everybody needs to be fighting for it. Support staff needs to be yelling at you. Like, it's an uncomfortable situation to be in, and it's an uncomfortable way. It's uncomfortable to get out of it. Trust me, because with like more regards to my team, it like relies on me yelling at them, which is something I don't like to do. I'm not a yeller. I don't like to get like too. I like to tell the team how to play the game and make those all funny strategery decisions. That's kind of more my speed. But I'm not a yeller. But I've learned in this profession, I guess, if you want to even call it that, that you have to. If I'm at LAN, whether I'm playing, whether I'm coaching, I will do whatever it is in my power to make sure my team is giving it their all, or at least trying to and fighting their way out. Again, something I learned the hard way. We've had to have several LANs of failure to learn that, but I hope that it's been a long stream. I can't talk. I hope that Falcons learn that same lesson, and that they don't just throw away this last LAN as just a complete failure. Obviously, like from a results standpoint, it definitely was, but there is a lot of character and like player growth that they can gain from this if they approach it from the right lens. Yeah,
but
moving on.
It was also weird because like I don't know. I haven't like talked to Evan or whatever, but like I'm not f***ing with Evan anymore.
Oh
so,
shit!
Like, best way to put it. Like
I didn't expect that,
like,
honestly.
He might see it as like jokes or whatever.
I feel like that's just got to be like, just emotions, right? But then again, I don't really know the relationship.
He might see it as jokes, whatever, clicks, whatever. But I don't know.
I talked about. I actually mentioned this to Koy the other day when he was asking me some pretty like in-depth things. Like when it's a tweet from a former teammate, it hurts for sure. There was one tweet that I saw from Koy that kind of hurt a little bit when he left our team. I don't remember exactly where it was. I talked to him about it too, but like I kind of like just blanked it out. But he said something along the lines of like, I think it was when he was with Legends at LA, and they were playing, and they had like a really good round in groups, I think, or something like that. And I forget the exact context, but basically the tweet said something like, love my teammates, love playing with like a real team at LAN. And like, even though that tweet actually wasn't centered towards us. When I first read that tweet, I read it that way, as if like our team wasn't a real team with Koy. Obviously, like we failed, but like my team has results. Like we've done really well in the past. We're not like some, wannabes. Like we one of the few teams that have like 3 top 5s on LAN. So like a tweet like even though that tweet wasn't, Koy eventually told me it wasn't meant to be like a tweet towards us at all. He did actually tell me that, but I did like let him know. Like I was like, that tweet kind of hurt, man. Like, because like I don't have any ill will towards him. So like I get it. Like when it's from like a former, when you think a tweet is about you, I mean, in this case, it definitely is about them, right? When it's from a former teammate, that shit hurts. Especially like I said, that being like Evan's like first tweet, right? Or like one of his first few tweets. Because like if I'm doing really well and one of my former players or teammates is doing really bad, aka got 20th, I'm sorry, but like for me, like I love Evan, but me personally, like maybe I'm just like too old and like too adult about things, but like my first instinct isn't to rag on one of my teammates when they're down really fucking bad. 20th place in LAN finals, in my opinion, is like would probably feel worse than not making the finals at all. Because in the finals, at least you got like close, kind of. But 20th means you just like something really went wrong. And any competitor knows when you do that bad, you're gonna be in a world of emotions, and it's just gonna feel horrible. So like I'm kind of with how that. I get it. I understand why he's upset, and I totally sympathize with that, because it's just like that would feel pretty bad. If any of my former teammates made a joke, or players made a joke about us being like 20th place, I didn't really think about it from like that perspective, but like I would probably not f them either. Like that would hurt pretty bad, personally. I've seen Zero sit on stream. Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I don't really like what Zero does on his stream over there either, King, 100%. But that's not Hal. Maybe I'm blind and I haven't, and maybe Hal's been shit talking like pretty bad, but like I'm trying to look at it from Hal's perspective. That's all. And I think I like that would again, I don't know their situation and their relationship since they left the team or he left the team. But like I said, I just get it. Like that would fuck with me pretty bad. But I'm looking at it through my own lens. I haven't talked shit. He just as soon as the LAN was over and he got his phone back, he tweeted like in quotes super team with like clown emojis, which is like it's kind of funny, but also the timing of it, I don't know. I'd wait maybe a little bit, but again, as far as I know, I don't think Hal talked any like direct shit about his former teammates. I don't think Newcastle fits this team very much at all. So kind of disagree on that point. I feel like the macro calls just needed to be better. They didn't play for the current team comp that they were playing. They were playing like a Newcastle team. They weren't playing like a Fuse Crypto team.
Not really.
The boy's kind of good at what he does. That's all I'm saying. That's interesting. We're just keeping the same goal. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, I guess people weren't using Akimbo Mozams enough, huh? They got to keep it in there. The hop-ups one is really detrimental. If you didn't get hammer points and other people did, or turbo if people were still using Havoc, like it's really huge loot diff. I'm not opposed to them nerfing the hop-ups a little bit. I think it makes a little bit of sense. Everything else I think is fine though. Havoc, I did see this one obviously remove turbocharger as a hop-up. Dev note, even after our most recent round of nerfs, the Havoc is still overperforming compared to our other weapons. Removing its high value chase items is intended to tamp down its power level. I've seen a couple people say this won't be enough. I do think it's pretty massive. It is pretty massive. I think this is the first time I think the Havoc can't be turbocharged since it got released. It's a pretty massive nerf because late game, most of the time, especially when people are dancing like knockdown shields and stuff, you're not necessarily switching to your Havoc unless you have a turbocharger. So it is a pretty big nerf. It's not going to stop people from using it, I don't think. It's still really strong. It fucking absolutely melts people from mid-range to close range. However, I do think genuinely you'll see even more nemesis. I think you'll see a lot more of those being picked up for the mid to late game. Nemesis is already a really strong gun. A lot of people were using it at LAN. Hemlock as well, but I feel like more people are gravitating towards Nemesis these days, but I don't know. I don't remember the stats fully on that. But either way, I do think you will see less people pick one up. Probably not in your pubs. It's still a really strong gun. It'll gun people down really fast. Probably not in ranked because it's just a very good gun. But in comp, you might see people pick it up less. But it's still really strong though. Like it's not going anywhere. R99 care package damage fall off at 11 plus meters increased to 11. I'm gonna be honest, I still don't really understand why they even threw the damage fall off in. I don't think it needs it. Like, I understand a lot of people use R9 at like medium range, but it's a care package gun. You can't refill on the ammo. Honestly, if you're using it at range, unless you're like absolutely clipping someone, you're kind of just wasting the bullets. So I don't really know why they put the damage fall off on it. I feel like it's not necessary. That's kind of just my take on it, personally. I could be completely wrong on that though. But I mean, it is a care package gun. But I'm gonna be honest, like, if I'm sitting there behind my team on LAN, like, yeah, I'll be happy for any care package gun. They're all very good. But if we're like still in like zone 2 early game and I see them getting an R9, like, I'm gonna be pretty sad about that. Right? It's just like, I don't know. There's another team you did a VOD review on one LAN. That's true. Although that was with Frex though. I didn't VOD review the Koy team. Koy's never getting another VOD review ever. I've already gave him all the knowledge, all of the wisdom when he was literally on our team just to steal everything from me and then move on and win LAN. So, don't know about it. Never giving him another VOD review. Same with Sykes. There's no beef. It's just jokes. After Koy got off stage from hoisting the trophy, I walked over, I gave him a hug. I told him I was proud of him and I was happy to see him win, which I am, genuinely. I think he's a very talented kid. All right, hop-ups. Reduce spawn rate of gun shield generator, remove turbocharger from loot pool. All right, so the turbo is just, I guess, yeah, that wouldn't make sense that turbo is completely gone. That's just weird to see because, again, I say this every time, but I don't think the turbocharger has been removed a single time since Havoc has been in the game. Or even since Devo's been in the game, since it's been on the ground. So it's kind of a crazy thing to read. It was like once, what season? I don't remember it ever being. Rarity increased to purple, was blue. Reduced spawn rate, increased movement speed while using. Okay, I was actually curious if they were going to do something with this because J Beebs, oops, I clicked on something I shouldn't have. J Beebs, John Larson, the lead respawn balance designer, head of the team, reached out to me and asked me about like my thoughts on ult excels because they are tricky. Because a lot of the game is balanced around It's not just balanced around the comp scene, and it's not just balanced around casual gameplay. It's somewhere right in the middle, or at least they tried to like make the best out of like both of them, right? And ult excels are tricky because nobody uses these in the actual game. However, a lot of the game is balanced around them and balanced around like ult cooldowns are balanced around them because you can still use them. So it's like it's a really tricky place. I kind of like the direction they're going with it. I'm curious what the increased boost speed while using. I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more, because my criticism, basically what I told him was, I think ult excels should just be more attractive to use. Meaning, like for the most people that play the game, right? Let's be honest. Like when you're playing pubs with your friends or even playing ranked, how many times are you realistically walking around and actually like picking up and using ult excels? So the answer is very few people are. And I understand they're like what 7 seconds to channel. You move slow while doing it. By the time you find another fight, you'll probably just have your ult up anyway. Like there's a lot of reasons that people are just lazy and don't want to use it. I'm right there too. Only time I really ever use them is if I, for some reason, am playing Watson, or if I am definitely playing Vantage, which I do, because it makes sense too with her. So I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more to make them more attractive. Like the increased boost speed while using is definitely good. And if they're going to reduce spawn rate and make the rarity purple, I wouldn't mind them like also being like a quarter of the time maybe to channel as well. Something that makes them just a little bit more like, hey, this isn't going to be a complete inconvenience for me to drop like a nade, pick up and use type thing, you know? Just a lot more. Yeah, okay. So they're basically just making Fuse ult not horrible to play against and not cheesy, which I like. Obviously, that's a dub. I like seeing Fuse in comp. I'm big fan of him. I think he's exciting for people to watch. People like he just brings havoc on teams. Gives people the ability to push teams out of spots pretty freely. Obviously, the big caveat to playing Fuse is not the greatest. He doesn't bring the greatest defensive utility, but that's not what you pick him for. So I like Fuse. I wouldn't want to see him completely like phase out, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then this is a big one here now. Let's move on to Valkyrie. I obviously saw snippets of this on Twitter. Back when Valk was turbo meta. Okay, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent here, although it does make sense. So bear with me. But back when Valk was meta, I was part of a lot of talks where people were talking about how they should just get rid of Valk's recon scan. It's not this is before all like the legend systems came into what they are now. People were saying they should just get rid of Valk's recon scan. It's not balanced. It like overloads her kit. And even though like they're not wrong, back then getting rid of Valk, like she was just too strong of a rotation character, and I think she just made the game more bearable for most people. Like you didn't die to a lot of bullshit. Being able to scan zone, being able to fly in, and then have a rotation capability to get in there. Sure, Valk's kit was like super overloaded, but I feel like it was almost necessary just to make the game a little bit more enjoyable at like a higher level at least, because you can have more teams in end games, you can have more people be existing and actually like playing the game, and it makes end games more exciting. I think now putting her back to recon, I think will do very well, because let's be real, like skirmisher, it's not a horrible perk. It's the information is actually pretty solid if you're playing at a high level, even in like high level ranked. It's obviously like still probably the worst perk out there, but it has its uses. But let's be real, like I think the biggest fault with skirmisher, and one thing I would love for them to change about skirmisher, it's just not an exciting perk, right? Assault, who doesn't love more inventory space to hold more ammo, right? Obviously you get the 2 scan characters, you get all the shit that comes with support like perk. All the other perks are like, they're exciting. They have things to like actually do. Skirmisher is just like, lol dude, look at the fucking sky, get some evo, you know, get a little bit of info that you're probably not going to use anyway. It's just not sexy, right? That's the problem with skirmisher for me, at least. I think I wouldn't mind seeing it being reworked to just something a little bit more fun and a little bit more make sure to like think a little bit more about your team comp, because let's be real, no one's picking a skirmisher because they feel like they need what a skirmisher offers. Absolutely nobody. But big fan of Valk going to recon. I think I like when the game has more options for rotations. The reason Valk going to recon is strong is because you don't have to have, like if you wanted to have a Valk ult, now you don't need to pick a Valk ult and a recon character, because balloons, Valk ult, all that stuff pairs really well with recon, right? You hit a man scan, you see where people are, you pop the Valk ult, and then you can fly into a spot where people aren't, which is what makes the recon scan really strong. Now you have all that packed into one character. You don't need to have 2 separate characters for it. It's nice. Also, I mean, obviously, like, balloons exist too. I kind of miss Valkyrie being played. Now, will this put her in a meta? I don't know. We'll find out. Full tank upgrade now includes a 50% reduction in fuel delay to 4 seconds. Was 8. That's pretty good, honestly. That's actually that's a really noticeable difference. You'll be able to fly around a lot more often now, even after what's it called? Depleting all your fuel. Sorry, I haven't streamed in a while, man. The brain's not working. Move slow, stun duration increased by 50%. Missile explosion radius increased by 20%. A little scared about that. Any kind of CC in this game is a little scary. That's a big number. That's a big number. Already, when Valk, well, let's rewind a little bit. Go back in the time machine. When Valk was meta, even through her various nerfs, if you stunned somebody, they were pretty much dead. If you were playing at like a high level, for like ranked or you obviously definitely in comp, if you stunned anybody that's like relatively out in the open, they just died. So I'm a little worried about that. This might be a little crazy, especially the explosion radius increasing. That's pretty big. Because that also means you'll get hit by subsequent missiles. Not that they really do. The subsequent missiles don't do as much damage, but it's like a little extra thing. The minimum attack range decreased by 25%, can hit enemies that are closer. That's interesting. Max missile travel time now is 4 seconds was 4.5. So they come out faster. They're bigger. They slow a lot more, and you can shoot them closer. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So they basically gave Valk back all of her fighting capabilities. One of the reasons she fell out of favor was because on release she was a fighting monster, and she was insane. What you could do with her with grabbing height, juking shots, you know, just doing shit that no other legend could do, and also you had console scan, and you had her ult for rotation. So she was pretty much the entire package in one. It seems like she's kind of going back to that, because these are like, I like her being like a big rotational legend, but giving her the capability to be also like insanely good at fighting, like, brother, dust off those jets, because you guys you're gonna go back to playing Valk at some point, whether you like to or not. Someone on your group is gonna be playing Valk. Pubs, ranked, comp, probably someone gonna be playing Valk. Honestly, this is enough for her to be in comp alone right here. The fact that she's a recon legend now. So, yeah. Someone, like I said, dust off the jets, you're going to be flying a lot. I think this one will probably be taken by most people, the full coverage. Will probably be taken by most people most of the time, just because you might not always like need to hard rotate in that instance, but you'll at some point in the game, it's Apex, at some point you're going to have to fight, right? And if all of this is as strong as it sounds, then I think people are definitely going to be taking this one most of the time. I think the ult height can be, if you're playing in like pretty sweaty lobbies, if you're playing in like a fun tourney, high level ranked. I think the other one, if you're trying to just rotate and get to a far away spot, the ult height could be good. Do I think 3x5 is better? I think so, yeah. I think most people are going to take this just because it just makes it all consistent. What the fuck is... Bro, what the I'm on the wiki! The other use of the Valk ult with the recon passive, of course, is that you can just find fights. You can find people and kill them. So I think everyone is going to be taking this one. Although the fuel tank is not, I don't think is a complete throw. If you like flying around, if you do a lot of that in fighting, if you enjoy outplaying people with like playing height and stuff like that, the fuel tank's not bad. Honestly, the refuel delay to 4 seconds is a huge thing. I'm kind of just over World's Edge, man. I feel like most people probably are. I don't think it's a bad map. I'm just kind of like, I'm over the way people play it. It's so AP and not in a good way. Everybody lands at the same POI. They try to be fade still years down the line. It just feels like it's impossible. If you don't land in like a turbo hotspot in World's Edge, it feels like it's so hard to find a fight. And then by the time you find a fight, it's the squad that killed 15 other squads. When you're playing like pubs and ranked, I don't like the way World's Edge plays anymore. It's not really a fault of World's Edge. I think everyone's just bored of it, so no one takes it seriously. I've noticed people across all skill levels don't actually truly know how to fight. Even at like a Diamond Plus level, a lot of people don't truly understand how to like team fight in Apex. So I think the health bars are a good way. Like, yes, does it like reduce skill gap? Like, sure. But I think it's a good way, in a way that retains more players and makes it easier for newer players to come into the game.
Let me know your thoughts on this video in the comment section, and if you are new here, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more interesting video. Hasta la vista, baby.